What's up,
What's up?
Mortgage Coach community? It is TCA Tuesday, and we got Jeremy Forcier. What's up, J Force?
I thought you were handing it to me right from the get-go. I was doing
No, I
the
said I was
mortgage
gonna,
coach
like,
clap.
Say if you want to do the Mortgage Coach clap, go ahead.
I did it with you in tandem. Hey, everybody. It's,
All right,
Jeremy
cool.
Savage from Mortgage Coach. How you guys doing today? There you go,
We're
Dave.
good.
Messed it all up.
Woo! We're awesome.
I'm waiting for the song.
Let the bodies hit the floor.
All right, guys. So every Tuesday for this month of September, we're going to have some players that are reporting, how many leads did they get? How many TCAs did they do? How many credit pulls did they have? We're also going to be sharing the best mortgage coach success story for the week since last time. And we're going to be talking about one-to-many. What was your one-to-many success story? And then remember, guys, what are your challenges? What are your problems? Jeremy loves that part. And so, Jeremy, I'm going to hand it off to you to be the lead coach.
Awesome. What's up, party people? Jeremy Forcier, mortgage coach representative and a loan officer. Super happy to be here. Had a great weekend. Hope everyone took the full 3 days off. It's so necessary to recharge. I went to a rock concert, which really wasn't recharging, but it was in different ways. It was good for the soul. So that's why my voice sounds like this. So no, I'm not sick. No, I don't have COVID. And it's just because I was yelling and screaming and having a good time. So thank you everyone for being on. I'm super stoked. Tammy, great to see you again. How was last week? We missed you last week.
Last week was great. I can't even remember what I was doing, but I was with you guys in spirit. In fact, I think I even commented my numbers below.
Sweet.
It was a good week.
Well, I'm a horrible multitasker, which, by the way, side note, works very well in mortgages. Okay, don't be a good multitasker. And if you are, just stop doing it. Okay, so I didn't read that, but thank you so much because I can't do two things at once, but that's fantastic. Great to see your face. Mr. Walt, what's up with you, big dog?
What's up, bro? How's life treating you?
Beyond more than I deserve. It's really good.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me and thanks for being here.
Cool. Happy to be here. Caught up last week. What's going on?
My brother's in my wife is in Scotland, which she's determined looks a lot like Oregon.
Okay.
And my brother is in town. So, and later today, we're going to, I'm going to take him out to the range, not the golf range, but the shooting range.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah.
Ever done that before?
I've taken up long range shooting. So,
really?
Yep. In August, I came down with the shingles on my face. It was pretty bad. And so my wife kept talking to me very nicely about getting a hobby because I didn't have a hobby. And so I decided I could golf and I could do, other things like that. But I decided that I really like to blow crap up. So, long range shooting was fun. And it's, there's something very unique about it where it instantaneously you're working on kind of both sides of your brain. You're working on the competitive side where you're trying to hit the bullseye or a real tight shot, pattern, but also you're working the creative side, trying to get your scope and everything else to work right. So yeah, so it's a lot of fun.
Cool. So side note for everyone, if you piss off Walt, make sure you just do Zoom appointments and that you're not meeting in the same town. Long range shooting. That's pretty awesome, man. It's on my bucket list. I've never held a gun before. I always feel weird about it, but I want to learn how to do it at some point. So that's very cool. What's up with you, Pete Torres?
A whole lot, man. It's been a very busy weekend for me. I had so many people calling over the weekend. Instead of taking the holiday off, they've been out shopping. They want to get pre-approved. So I got about 4 or 5 calls over the weekend. So I had my own plans and stuff, but I blocked out a set of time and I addressed their needs. So
nice.
It was very good time with the family in the pool, but also got to help some good clients.
How about them Giants too? Giants Dodgers.
They beat Bueller. That was incredible. That was sweet. Really love that.
Ooh, they really needed it too. In case they tie at the end, they'll have home field advantage. Woo! I love it. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Go Giants all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Very cool. What about you, Bookspan? What's happening?
Not a whole lot. I got away. My oldest daughter starts her second year, but is her first year in person at Pepperdine. in grad school there, getting a degree in psychology. So we unplugged, spent some beach time, and just excited to see all of you. I look forward to this Tuesday call. I learned so much from watching you, Jeremy, and my wife thinks I need a hobby too, but I don't think she's let me take up shooting, Walt. So that's going to be, I'll have to think of something different.
It's all good. Did you go to oceanfront property in Arizona? Is that where you guys went?
Yeah, exactly. Almost, but yeah, it's beautiful over there. It was nice. It was, the high there is what the low here is. So it was nice to actually run on the beach and, eat some seafood that wasn't trucked in on a truck. That was all good.
Love it. Scott Nicholson, what's up with you, bud? Last week.
I'm good. It's funny you said that because I wrote, "Don't piss off Walt." I wrote that in my notes. Good. I mean, I'm a huge Padre fan, so I'm watching those Padres closer than ever, trying to keep up with you two guys, the Dodgers and the Giants. So maybe we can sneak in a wild card. Had a good week. Made some new, got some new loans, got some CMAs. I'm just hanging on you guys' coattails on that stuff, and probably a big win. I have an appointment at 2:00 today with the largest agent in the country to talk about the CMA stuff we're doing right now. So
Awesome.
That's a huge win. Jason Mitchell. I don't know if
Nice.
you've heard of that guy.
Jason, if you're listening, do not ask Scott for a bunch of money every month to make CMAs and TCAs for you.
No.
Okay.
Just trying to
just
do
wa-
loans.
I know, I'm just helping you. Like, yeah. So if you're listening, bud, it's not the value prop. We're going to make you tons of money though. I promise. Scott's the man. That's awesome.
Jason's
Very,
a good
very
guy.
cool.
He lives here in our market. He's a super good human, as well as being a stud in the real estate world.
That's awesome. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. What about you, D Bird?
I am getting better and better at learning to relax and shut things down. So Saturday was my first weekend where I was actually home, and we didn't have 6 games, which between 4 kids, I usually have 6 games on Saturday. So no games. Went to my brother's house. We just laid out at the pool, drank a little bit, sang a little bit, and just hung out, had fun.
Excellent. You got to recharge, because is it a marathon or a sprint? Remember, I shared this last time. Who remembers?
Marathon.
No, it's a
Small
bunch
sprints.
of sprints.
Oh,
It's a
darn it.
whole bunch of small sprints within the marathon. So
Let me
yes,
look at my
it's a
notes.
trick
Did you really say
question.
that,
It's a
Jeremy?
trick question. It is a marathon, but how we run the marathon is in sprints, right? We just run them in sprints. So remember, the qualifier to get into the Olympics had to run a 5:11 minute mile as a marathon runner. Like, they're basically sprinting, okay, the whole time. So a marathon is really, if you're going to crush it, it's just a series of small sprints over and over and over and over again. So let's go through some data and then get rocking. I want challenges. I want lots of problems, because problems is always where we're going to have the most change, and what we're looking for is change, right? So let's start with you, Tammy. Last week, first of all, did you do a TCA each day?
I did.
Nice.
5.
Excellent job. Cool.
And I have to say, big shout out to Scott Nicholson and his lender launchpad, because that has made the process so much quicker. I took a few
Awesome.
hours to really master, because I'm an all or nothing person. Like, I have to master something, or then I realize it doesn't work. So either I was going to master this process, or I was going to call Scott and be like, I love it, but it's too hard, I'm out. And I was able to, once I got the hang of it, I could whip these TCAs and create an experience now for my buyers. That's just, and it does not take that long. So I did 5 TCAs. 2 of them were for listing agents. 2 of them were unsolicited, and 1 was for pre-approval.
Okay, cool. So on these TCAs that you did, 2 were for
Yep.
listing and 2 were unsolicited. Did you generate leads from those?
Well, I mean, they were leads. Did I generate more leads from them? No, not yet. I know a lot of people watch the video though. The one that I did was about a renovation loan,
Mhm.
and I had several people watch the video, but I haven't gotten anything I haven't talked to a person yet from it.
Okay, cool. And then the ones that were for listing agents, what was the purpose? I would love some context, like to understand what you were doing, sending them to them.
So on Tuesday mornings, I do a presentation at Keller Williams, and every Tuesday morning, and I spoke about renovation loans specifically. And 2 of the agents reached out to me One is participating in my CMA a day group, and another one is just a Keller Williams agent who was on the call. And both of them reached out to me and asked me, they have this listing, it's not moving. Maybe a renovation loan might be a good option for them. I went in and learned how to do a renovation TCA, put it together, and then I sent it off to them. One agent wants me to go to their open house with them this week. The other one I actually haven't really heard from, so I'm not sure where that went off. So I got to follow up on that one actually. So one
Excellent.
actually really good.
So this is a great example of a lead generation tactic using Mortgage Coach, right? This is a lead generation tactic using Mortgage Coach. Number one, you did an in-person presentation or Zoom presentation?
Zoom presentation.
Great. So Zoom presentation, same as in person, in my personal opinion. Zoom presentation to a group, got 2 people interested, created presentations for them using a TCA. One wants you to do, an open house. The other you haven't heard back from. Now, follow-up is the key on these things. Okay, follow-up is the key on these things. So number one, follow-up for the person that did engage with you. Highly recommend you do this. Okay, highly, highly, highly recommend. Is that, hey, I'm happy to be at the open house if you want to. By the way, if you don't.
Friday
Just say.
night. Like who does
Then
an
say
open house on a
no. Say no,
Friday
thank you.
night?
Then.
I am gonna say no.
Yeah, but give them value, right? Like, hey, I'm not available at that time, but here's what I want to do. I'm going to set up the TCA so you can have it on your computer, on your iPad, etc., whatever you got. And then what I would love to do is make all of the offers that come in on this have to cross qualify with me. Now, I'm a big believer in this because number one, what's the most irritating thing, Walt, when you're making an offer?
So the most irritating thing when you're making an offer?
Yeah.
For the client or for us?
For the client, client's making an offer. What's the most irritating thing to you that might happen? Just so remember how I coach. I gave the answer right before I always ask the question.
I'm sorry, Jeremy. I don't know.
No,
what
it's
you're
all
looking
good.
for.
Hey, listen, when I'm the student, this is how it always goes too, right? You're like searching for the answer, but it's easy when you're the coach. So I gave you the answer. The most irritating thing for me is when my client has to cross qualify with someone else. Okay. I'm always like, and then we all complain about it. Well, let's stop complaining about it. That's a great strategy. Okay. Let's go ahead and like implement that into our markets and then we can generate some more leads. Right. So I think that's awesome. I think it's a huge opportunity for you. Reach out to both of those people and say, hey, I would love to qualify anyone that comes in to make sure that the loan is going to work, right? Doesn't mean they have to use you, but just to make sure, and then you can get some lead capture, tied into that. So excellent job with those. Who were the 2 that were unsolicited?
They were refis that I used HomeBot to go after.
So
I have a
HomeBot,
list of, I have a giant list over here of clients that could potentially refi. And I make it a point to look at that list on Thursdays and I use HomeBot. And HomeBot is so great because I don't even have to like think of the math. The HomeBot will be like, oh, if you do this, then this will happen. And if you do this, then this will happen. So when I'm talking to the clients on doing their unsolicited TCAs, I can just tell them, if you do this, then this will happen. And they think I'm a genius. It's great. I love HomeBot for that.
what's your follow-up plan with unsolicited TCAs?
Right now, that's probably a challenge, is trying to stay on top of it. Right now on Thursdays, I'm just doing 30, 60, 90 calls. So when you close 30, 60, 90 days, I follow up with them. And then I'm looking back, everybody who closed last September, I'm calling them all back and using HomeBot. And that's I'm just sticking to Thursdays right now to do that. So that's my follow-up with past clients. That's when I do the unsolicited ones.
All right, cool. So I want to break this down for everyone just a little bit and give you some more context. So when I say follow-up, what I'm always really referring to is following up on the item of value that you sent, right? So it sounds like you have a great process in place as far as like following up with a closed past client. Now, where we all drop the ball more often than not, is we take the time to create a presentation, to show them different options, to make a video, etc. And then we send it out and then we sit at our desk like this. Fingers crossed, hope it's going to work out. Are they going to open it? Are they going to call me? But we don't actually follow up. right? Like with the unsolicited TCA that we sent out. So I have a process that I'm happy to share with you, of course, is that whenever I send out a TCA, there is always a task to follow up with them 2 days later. Okay. Now,
Do you do
first-
that or does your assistant do it?
J-Force does it, me. Because I want to live in lead generation and lead conversion. That's where I want to live 80% of the time, right? Lead generation and lead conversion. And an unsolicited TCA is both, right? It's lead generation and it's lead conversion. It's both. So you want it now. Let's say that they don't pick up the phone in 2 days. Well, let me give you my other tip too. So when I send an unsolicited TCA, all right, I always email it to them, but then I call them as soon as I send it. Hey, Deborah, it's Jeremy Forcier, Cross Country Mortgage. I just sent a presentation over to you that shows you how you can save $88,000 on your loan, right? Take a look at it when you have a chance. Let me know if you have any questions. I'd love to set up a call, right? So I'm priming the pump, right? Rather than just sending it and saying, let me know what you think. And then I'm following up in 2 days. Now, if they don't pick up the phone in 2 days, what do I do?
You're calling them.
Yeah.
Because you sent your task.
Yeah. And then, but what if they don't pick up? They don't respond to that.
Leave another message.
Yeah, 2 days again. Then it goes 2 days out from there, right? So then I follow that for 3 times over a week period. And then if they still don't ever get back to me or anything, then it's 1 time per week for the next month. So when you have unsolicited specifically, or even solicited, and people are ghosting you, we have to create a follow-up system that's better than just our brain remembering what we did. And we also have to create a follow-up system that's going to push out longer than we think, because people are busy, you guys. Okay. Like I'm doing a refi right now, and the poor loan officer, keeps emailing me like, I'm like, listen, bro, I'm gonna get to it when I can. I'm like the worst client, right? I'm like, I can't even get to my own stuff. But I will get to it as soon as I can. Don't worry about locking me in, and I don't really care what happens with the interest rates. You don't have to sell me, right? So,
Hey, Jeremy.
Deborah, yeah, I saw you raising your hand.
So you email, you call. Do you ever text?
Yes. So I save text. Okay. I save text until someone hasn't responded to me the first couple times. And this isn't a recommendation, by the way. I think that text engagement is certainly the best, like as far as getting someone's attention. I'm just a horrible texter. Okay. So if I am going to text that person, it would be like, hey, it's Jeremy Forcier. Did you see the email that I sent you? And I'll keep it super simple, and I'll try to schedule an appointment. Because if I get into text conversations, like I have 890 unread text right now, right? Like it's like really hard to process for me, a text inbox, but I think that it is the easiest way to get someone's attention.
I have to 100% agree with you. I cannot respond to a 3-inch text message asking me 100 questions. I'm going to put that in email and answer it that way. I can't do it. So
Now, but to Deborah's point, I actually agree with her. I should be using it more and more and more, and I am. So to honestly
I
answer the
like what you
question, I
said,
am
though. So,
doing it.
hey, I left you a message rather than typing out their message in the text message.
Yeah, well, really, whatever their response may be is just the precursor to an appointment. So
Right.
what Deborah's really like referring to is how can you engage fastest, right? Like how can you get a response quick? And then that should just lead to an appointment rather than a conversation back and forth. I think that's extremely valuable, extremely valuable. You can leave a video in a text, right? You can
I
leave,
love that.
you can do, oh, I didn't see your email. Cool. You can post your mortgage coach TCA right there, right in the text message, and they can watch it. So there is huge, huge, huge value in that. But I would really focus on working on what your follow-up system is over a month time frame, because you will convert incrementally more people if you give them more time and you stay in front of them. Here are some common responses after I followed up with someone for like 3 weeks and they've ghosted me, right? Hey, I'm so sorry. Like we've been really busy. Or, hey, so-and-so's mom passed away. We've been really distracted, right? You get more information back by continuing to follow up politely with them. And then it just makes you even more valuable because you're more involved in their life in the process, right? So just stretch it out a little bit.
Yeah, that's good, because I really was only doing it on Thursdays, and I know that's not enough time. So I will time block the time for that.
I shared that because if y'all looked at the Modern Real Estate Summit Instagram page, I thought it was interesting that a recent report came out from real estate agents and how they are communicating with their clients. 93% prefer text message, then 90% is telephone or cell phone, and then 89% email. So I was curious with those metrics, how you guys were communicating. I'm the type where my voicemail says, please do not leave a voicemail. If you want a response, you need to text me.
Yep.
So
Yep. Yeah, you got to build it out. Now, what's interesting about that, not to get in the weeds, but as far as like promotional material, so presentations, whatever, numbers, whatever it may be, survey actually shows that email, just when it comes to the present, so there's difference between engagement, right? And then actual receiving information is that 58% of people would rather receive actual data promotional stuff, right? Or newsletter, TCA, whatever it is, through email. So, but the text is definitely the easiest way to engage. We should all be using it at this point with our clients. But remember, it's just to make the appointment, right? It's just to make the appointment. So very, very good. So you got 2 listing agents, 2 unsolicited. 1 came from HomeBot. That's fantastic. How many credit polls did you do in the last week, Tammy?
It's a weird week. I got 13 leads. Of those 13 leads, 2 were internet leads, 4 credit pulls, 3 were disclosed. I don't know if they were from the same week, but 3 were disclosed. So 4 credit pulls out of 13. I don't know. That seems a little low. A lot of them we weren't able to reach back. We called them. I can see that we made the calls to reach them, but we haven't been able to reach them. So I know that's being worked on today. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's bad at all, actually, because remember your leads to credit pull ratio, if you're just looking at a week, there's always a drag delay, right? There's always a drag delay because you're following up with the clients, like, et cetera. Maybe you haven't had the appointment with them yet. Maybe they haven't filled the loan app yet, but the credit to disclose is excellent, right? And so that usually tells the sign that if you're already at 33% of your leads have pulled credit in a 1 week time frame when you actually got them, that's excellent. I find that
Okay.
my percentages just go up and up and up over a 4-week time frame, right? Based
Okay.
upon the leads that I get, because you got to work the leads. It's not like they
Great.
just come in and fill out a loan app, right? And they're like,
I
yep, here is
wish.
everything. Oh, me too. Hey, Dave, can you do something on that? Can you teach us how to just get people to apply?
How to get them
That,
to apply on the first time.
yeah, that would be great.
Let's see
Actually,
what we can do on that. Hey, Jeremy, what do you find the average is credit pull to app? Is it below 50% on average?
so based on industry exposure that I have, like of people that I coach or help, or even internally within my loan officer region, I would say that is below 50% for sure.
Like below
Um,
40%?
Yeah, I would say that it's below 40%. I would say that it's in the 30s. And I'm talking about referred leads, right?
Yeah. And you're
Referred
talking about
leads.
like, hey, we ran a credit. We actually, turned in a loan, or we triggered disclosures versus credit report.
So here's what
So
I
we're
see.
triggering 60% more disclosures than we're running credit.
So here, I can give you my numbers, right, to create context and clarity on this. So for me, my numbers are I app, meaning I get someone to raise their hand and say, yes, I'm interested in you helping me, about 70+% of everyone that's referred to me. Okay. Now, of that 70 to 75%, I can only help about 50%, 75%. So I'm at 52% year to date on people that are pre-approved. So basically 25% of the people that I talk to ish still raise their hand and applied, but they're not qualified, right? Like I can't help them. I can't help them do what they want, right? But of the 70% that I take apps of and that are qualified, I mean, my pre-approval ratio, so I count a conversion as either they're pre-approved and they're shopping around, right? Or it's a live deal or lock, et cetera, on a refi. That's 50% of the whole. So that means that I am converting at about a 70% clip of the people that are actually approved, that are provable. right?
Got it.
So simple math would be this: 25% of the people you always talk to will never be able to, you'll never be able to help, and that's okay. It's just the way it is, right? Then you have another 25% or so that just don't want to work with you. They'll ghost you. They are already pre-approved with someone. They found someone else. They ran into an open house and saw Tammy. They're like, I want to work with her, like whatever it is. So now you're working with 50%, right, of your pool, and you will close about 50% of that in any 12-month time frame, right? So it's call it 25% raw lead to conversion ratio. I have held pretty true to that for the last 5 years. Last year and right now, I'm converting a lot higher. Last year was because of refinances. Right now, I think it's just because my team's spectacular and we put in some cool processes around gifting and communication. But in general, you will close, if you're really good, about 25% of your raw leads to fundings, or 50% of your pre-approved people that you can help to fundings.
Cool.
Hey, Jeremy, do you mind talking about your gifting? You mentioned that on one of the previous calls. What are you guys doing for in-process gifting?
Yeah, so number one is that I'm always listening to, so I always do an initial phone call with every single lead. When I say every single lead, let's call it 9 out of 10, okay? Because some people call and they're like, hey, we want you to make an offer today and I'm not available, and they'll just go through like the team or whatever, right? But 9 out of 10 I'm talking to build rapport, understand what they're doing, and learn about them a little bit. And people share information with you. When you say, hey, Dave, I know you're looking to get pre-approved, right? You referred to me by Tammy. She's so awesome. How do you know her? I could tell you how you know her. And then you say, well, tell me about your situation. That's a keyword. Tell me about your situation. How can I help you today? And then they tell you about the situation, right? They're like, oh, we're pregnant, or we're first-time home buyers, or whatever. We inherited some money. My mom just passed away. And then you get to have real conversations. So in those, I'm making notes. And if anyone is just had a birthday, like in the last week, they're scheduled to get married, they're pregnant, or they're expecting a child, or they just had a child, lost a parent, et cetera, something like that, we're automatically gifting just based on that period. So we're sending a baby blanket, or we're sending, a little toy for them to play with, or we're sending them a congratulations flower bouquet that they're engaged, like they're little stuff like that, right? So that's phase one of gifting. Now, in that gifting, I don't even have a loan app yet, right? I really want to highlight this and point this out, because this is where my conversion has skyrocketed the last year, okay? I'm doing stuff for people, right, that literally, I don't even know if I can help them. I don't know anything, right? I'm just creating a connection. So that's one aspect of it. Second is they filled out the loan app already. I have an all about you form that I use, right? And it goes through like, what's your favorite thing to eat? What are some of your hobbies? What are, stuff like that, right? Anyone that fills out that form is automatically getting gifted something specific to them that has come from that, right? So I'll use Mary Rose as an example. Mary Rose applied, and she was told me like, hey, I just got a box from you and I thought it was going to be a bunch of promotional crap, corporate crap, right? And instead, I was so pleasantly surprised. I opened it up and there was a vegetarian cookbook and a dog biscuit, right? Because she said that she's into cooking, she's a vegetarian, she loves dogs, right? So now that person hasn't closed yet, but I guarantee you she's with me forever. She's pre-approved, and there's a personal connection there, right? So those are gifting examples, like before they're even really your clients yet, right? When someone gets pre-approved, they automatically get a tin of cookies from Mrs. Fields, right? Sweet to be working with you. So I think that gifting is really important in building relationships, but you have to pay attention to them personally too, and not just send, random stuff that you think that they might like that has your logo on it.
Love that. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So let me get back to the real business here, the biz. So we got your credit pulls, we got your quals. How many loans did you close last week?
Loans I closed last week. You know what? I know we closed probably at least 3. I have to look.
Listen, I
My
don't know.
lead
Is it
tracker is not
acceptable?
due until next week, Jeremy.
No problem. It's all good. And any pricing exceptions?
Pricing exceptions. We had one, but technically I don't want to count it as a pricing exception, but I did have to ask for a big pricing exception. So,
Why don't you want to count it?
because the appraisal came in late, which caused me to have to ask for a pricing exception on the lock. Because we had to extend the lock 7 days. So I had to get a pricing exception. Because normally I'm like, listen, if it's 7 days and we're closing, if we're extending it, we usually can give 3 days at no cost, but this was 10 days out. And it was because the appraisal was late. So I really fought to get the pricing exception because the appraisal was late for an additional 10 days. So I don't really want to count that.
It counts. It's okay. So listen, it counts. It's either yes or no, right? And here's the cool thing. We all have pricing exceptions. Let's not be on here and pretend like it's never ever going to exist. Okay. It's just being cognizant of like what causes it, right? Like, how does it work? Like, you're going to have 30% of your files are going to have some type of pricing exception. Okay. Now, whether that is because you have to compete or whatever, right? And they're just like, hey, I'm going to ditch you unless we do X. But sometimes it's simple stuff like lock extensions, right? Or it's like something came up with the appraisal, or there's a million things that cause
Right,
pricing.
right.
It doesn't mean that you gave away 200 basis points, by the way. It just means that like a 10 basis point exception is what?
Yeah, on this loan, it was like $300 or something like that.
Yeah, a
200 bucks.
10 bips concession is still a concession. It has concession in it, right? So it's
Right.
all good. It's just paying attention to like, okay, why and how much, right? Why
I
and how
gotta
much.
tell you, I've become very aware, much to my branch manager's joy, I'm sure, but I'm much more aware of them because I already didn't like asking for them. I don't know, it's some intercom. Like, I'm not a good salesperson if I have to keep asking for PEs. I don't know, it's my own thing. But this has definitely made me more aware. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to ask for the pricing exception because I don't want to have to tell them that I asked for a pricing exception on this call.
Well, don't worry about it. Listen, don't freak out about it. Like, good Lord, it's fine. Like, sometimes I don't brush my teeth. I forget and I have to brush them later. Okay. It's the same thing. I don't want to tell anyone that, but it's the truth. Right. So it just happens sometimes. Why I got a toothbrush in my desk here, just in case I forget in the morning. So excellent job. Good week. Excellent work. Great job of using the TCAs to generate leads and activities and relationships. It's awesome. All right. Let's go to Mr. Walt. Walt, let's break it down. Number of leads.
All right. So number of leads was total of 17.
Nice job.
5 was relationship-based leads, not internet leads.
Okay. And then
7.
did you do a TCA a day?
Yep. Well,
Excellent.
yes, I didn't do them over the weekend. So yes, Monday through Friday, yes.
Excellent.
7 TCAs.
Okay.
2 credit pulls. 2 apps. 2 pre-apps, 2 apps. And then last week was 2 closed loans.
So how did you do 4? You did 2 credit pulls, but you had 2 pre-apps and 2 apps. Wouldn't that be 4 credit pulls?
Nope. So 2 credit pulls was from the 2 apps were from credit pulls the week before. They got accepted offers.
Excellent.
So yeah, so we don't pull credit when you get an accepted offer again, when we just did it a week ago.
Awesome. Excellent job. I wouldn't do that either. That's poor
And then
customer service.
PEs had no PEs, but I did find something very interesting. Of course, our P&Ls aren't out yet, so they're working on the data right now. And it looks like where I'm going to end up, looks like I'm going to be up 31 basis points for the month, for last month. So I'm actually up 31 basis points.
Boom. That's
Excellent
a nice
job.
big win.
That's huge.
Yeah, thank you.
Excellent. So just so you know, side note, you can go into Edge and you can just print a profitability dashboard for yourself, and you can do any months you want, and it will show you what your average concession was in that month.
Perfect.
Yep. So just that's a CCM thing, you guys. That's why I'm talking directly to Walt. You can go in there and literally pull it up, and you can say year to date. You can do month of August, month of July, and it will show
Perfect.
you actually what your average weighted was.
Okay. I was going off of my P&L.
Jeremy, this is not a tangent, but I think the industry as a whole underestimates the value of price exceptions. And I really feel like it's almost like we all know about 5-star reviews, because that's public and we brag about it. But I mean, every time we get into a rate shopping battle and we're doing a price exception, that's like a service. It's tension in the sales service process.
Yeah.
And really, when you look at a healthy mortgage practice, obviously conversion rate is the number one thing you'd look at. But I think like the number two thing you'd look at is price exceptions, because if you have a lot of them, then you're not giving great value and great service. And if you have a few of them, it means you're giving great service in the sales process. And the fact that he improved his profitability, by 31 basis points. First of all, that's a lot of
It's
money.
ridiculous. Yeah,
It's a
that's
ridiculous
really,
amount
really
of
good.
money.
Yeah.
So, and I want everybody to add it up. I want you to go ask your manager, what am I costing? And you should know that, but it's also saying, you know what? I improved my service in sales. I am perceived as more valuable. I am delivering a better quality of service. You agree with all
100%.
that?
I 100% agree with it. Yeah. I mean, 1,000, if I could be 1,000%, I would 1,000% agree with it. I mean, it's, you can't underestimate that at all. And remember, with that said, because I think that we sometimes think too literally when we hear something, it doesn't mean you're never going to have one. Okay. 1 out of 4, call it, right? 25 to 30%. It's still going to happen, but it doesn't mean that it needs to happen all the time. And you don't have to be reactive to it all the time. The total cost analysis, that's the one thing, I always say it's the one thing, by the way, just like I always say, it's the best. It's one of the totally amazing things that it does, is that it's training, right, your client to have a great customer experience. So they will ask better questions and you're being proactive rather than reactive. Right. So taking control of the conversation, using that video, using the TCA is critical to having a great customer experience, as well as customer understanding, right? As well as customer understanding. Not to go super tangent, but let's go little tangent here. Okay. So the number one way, right, to create education, in my opinion, with a total cost analysis for a pre-approved buyer who's not in contract, aka prime shoppers, right? Because they have all this time still, et cetera, is that when you make your TCA to them, show them, like, I'll give you an example, 2.5% interest rate, 3% interest rate, and 3.5% interest rate, all side by side at the same purchase price. Okay. Now in your video, you get to explain to them why you are showing them these 0.5% rate gaps. Hey, interest rates change all the time, right? I want to make sure that you can see, if God forbid interest rates went up 0.5%, like how that would impact your monthly payment. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised that it's not as much as you think. I also want to show you, hey, if interest rates go down 0.5%, this is what you're looking at. When you go into contract, we'll give you multiple options that are specific to that day, but this gives you a great idea. Let me walk you through the numbers. If rates go up, stay the same, or go down, right? It's basically a cost of waiting analysis without calling it a cost of waiting analysis, but without teaching them just the fundamentals of how mortgages work, right? So I do that on all of my pre-approvals, right? And then what question do I get back? I love it not every time, but often. Question is either awesome, thanks, because they watched the video, or they didn't watch the video. And it's always like, so why would I choose 3.5 rather than 2.5, right? So I already know, it gives me insight to the customer. Hey, these people didn't watch the video, right? So now I get to point them back. Oh, it was all in the video. Hey, let's hop on a call so I can walk you through it. And then I get to do it live, right? So use this tool as education from shopping mechanism as well, to educate them on how it actually works. And one of my all-time favorite scripts is that, hey, just so you know, if someone tells you that they can beat whatever it is, you're getting quoted, that's a red flag, and I'd run away from that person, because all they're doing is crossing their fingers and hoping the market's going to go down. I could do that too. I'd rather just educate you on how it works. Right. So just know those things, and using that TCA is extremely important to setting the stage for your clients and how they're going to look at you from an expert standpoint. Right.
So I just want to make sure in this group coaching session, the 3 metrics that matter most are leads. How many leads did you get? Conversion, disclosure divided by credit pull, and price exceptions. And the higher that conversion is, the better your service experience, the more value you're creating. And the lower that exception, the higher the value. So just score yourself. It's as important as how many 5-star reviews that you got, if not more. Anyways,
Totally
keep it going, bro. I just want to
Totally
make sure
agree.
people get that.
Yep, great point. Cool. So, Mr. Pete Torres, you got numbers or are we faking it? What are we doing?
No, I got numbers for you.
All right.
So I didn't do a TCA every day. I did 4, however, and I got 17 leads last week.
Wow.
Most of them came on Friday, and was part of the reason why I didn't get a TCA every day, because it just came like an avalanche. It seemed like all my momentum was building, and then Friday I did so many calls coming in. So it was a good problem to have. So now I have those leads set up to do my follow-up for this week. And so most of these are from realtor partners that are referring I made the connection of, helping them out with open houses, and now they're giving me all their leads. And so now I'm going to implement, your challenge of having one to do to all these 13 at one time. So the other set that I had, so I had 13 that were in that category, but the other 4 were, one-on-one referrals. And actually one was a refi that I reached out to. And then I did 2 TCAs for follow-ups. One actually got into contract this past week. So I was really psyched about that, because it was a brand new realtor partner that I engaged with. So one of my Bs, your B categories, your A, B, and Cs, I got my
That's
B
right.
to made that connection. So
Good.
really, really excited about that.
Good.
So
Credit pulls. How many credit pulls did you have?
I had 2 credit pools.
Okay.
Yep. And let me
Pricing
see.
exceptions.
I did have 1 pricing exception. So
How much? Let's tell everyone. How much was it?
it was just like maybe about like $1,500. So I don't know
Well,
what that would,
in basis points.
in
I like how
basis
we all
points.
divert, like Tammy's like, it's like $300, but that's 30 bips on a $100,000 loan. So how many in bips was it?
50 bips.
Okay.
Yeah.
50. What type of product?
FHA conforming.
All right. So not really a concession. We can
Yeah.
talk about that another time if you guys have questions about it. Okay. Awesome. Very, very cool. Excellent job.
Thanks.
So I would love to know what a challenge is. Challenge, frustration, something you need help on. And what I didn't hear, just so you guys know, I didn't hear a one-to-many strategy from any of you.
Hey, Jeremy,
So-
I didn't do a one-to-many. I did create a couple of videos for TCAs and sent that to my social media expert that I am waiting on to get, so then I can post it on social media. They may be a little slow right now, my social media experts. So
you did a one-to-many. That counts, and it's just in process.
yeah, I created 2 of them. So you've already addressed the problem that I was having, which is I've got a client that I've sent information to multiple times to refinance, and they're not responding. I've called, I've texted, I've emailed. And so you've already addressed that. So I appreciate that. Give me some insight there. I did have 2 different success stories I just wanted to share real quick, because we didn't get to that on my side. One was when I shot a video for a TCA, sent it to the client on an offer that they were making. The realtor, of course, comes back and this is a realtor that I'm trying to do business with and trying to create a relationship with. And he's like, dude, this is the most awesome thing I've ever seen.
Mhm.
So, that video, and it's funny because he didn't watch the video when it first came across.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, do me a favor, watch the video. And it's explained in that video, the question that he had. So, and then number 2, one thing that I don't know if you guys are having this or not, but every once in a while I'll run into a client that has got almost enough money for the down payment and the closing costs, but not quite enough. So this client was coming up about $2,500 to $3,000 short. And so over the weekend, I had the realtor reach out to me and say, hey, they really want this house. It was a little outside of their stretch from where they were going. So they needed about $3,000 extra. And I said, hey, not a problem. Let's take a look at this. And when I did a TCA on that, instead of a 3.25 rate, we bumped the rate up to 3.625, and then getting rebate pricing to be able to cover the rest of the money that they need for their closing costs. So I was able to give them that option, and the TCA allows you to be able to do that. So that to me was a big success, where then they could make that decision whether they, if they really want to try to, maybe get a gift or something for that 3,000, or if they want to do it all on their own, and they can see the increase in the payment.
Love it. Yep. So I love those situations. Whenever I get those, you guys, this is how I simply explain it to everyone. I go, hey, you have 3 options. One is you can figure out how you can get the money via gift. Number 2 is that you can save for another month. Or number 3, we can finance it into the interest rate. Which do you prefer? Right. And that's it. And they're like, well, 1, 2, or 3. And obviously there's only one choice, right? But that really makes it speed up the process to perceived options versus what's realistic. So excellent job there. Awesome job. So no, you have no issues, no challenges.
No, you already addressed the one issue, which was the client that I sent out a TCA to needs to refinance, hasn't been responding back to me.
I think the big issue that I really want to still have you focus on is getting 10 leads a month that are non-internet. I think that is the issue.
So let me just back up on that. Let me explain. I slowed my business down. As you know, I joined cross country about 5-6 months ago. The transition was a little more of a difficult transition than what I had hoped it would be. And so I specifically slowed a lot of my leads down. My foot went back on the gas here about 3 weeks ago, a month ago, where now we're starting to get more and more leads. So you're going to see those leads increase.
Good. So yeah, they have to increase. I want to see them flip-flopped, right?
Yep.
Like as soon as we get them flip-flopped, you're going to have higher conversion and everything's going to iron itself out. So
conversion
excellent
still
work.
is pretty high though. When you actually look at the amount of leads that we have, at the end of the day, leads compared to closings through the lead tracker, I'm at 52%.
So there's no way you are, if
Yep.
you include your internet leads.
Yep.
How?
Because I'm sorry, I break out my internet leads. I
I
apologize.
know, that's what I'm
Yep.
saying. Yeah, so it's
Yep.
not possible. Okay.
Yep.
I mean, I wish, by the way, if it is, dude, teach me. Like I am here to learn.
But I will tell you though, the success that I had a couple of weeks ago, and I've got some TCAs I'm going to be sending out. I'm going to be doing this again. For me, the success was out of those 16 TCAs that I did for the internet leads, having 3 apps and 1 in contract right now. That's pretty good. And I would say, you can try to convince me of it differently, but in my opinion, it would be the same as me sitting down in an open house for 3 hours with a realtor who may or may not do business with me in the future. But, I have 3 deals, bona fide deals in an hour and a half worth of work. So that's just my thought on that.
Well, thank you for sharing. I think that doing an open house is a complete waste of time as well. So I wouldn't do either one of those things personally. So I agree with you. Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
But
Tammy,
we need to get business.
yeah, we just need to call and add value and be awesome and teach people like what's up and like why they should use you, right? So you're doing a great job of that with the internet stuff. It's very impressive. I can't wait. You got to teach me someday. Tammy, I want your challenge. What's up?
I am of the student of calling my 40 realtors, and I'm pretty good at, actually, I have to say, of all my theme days, that's the one I'm the best at. I am getting bored of calling them, which means it concerns me if I'm getting bored of calling them, are they getting bored of hearing from me? Do I need to change it up? Some of them don't call me back. Some of them will say, hey, thanks for the message. I remember one time, this is not TCA related. This is totally like, I feel like it might be off topic, but it is something weighing on me. Should I do 2 40 lists and have one and call the first and the third or the second and the fourth? Do I stay on target? Do I just keep doing it and don't think about it? That's kind of where I am with this.
All right. So, so you have a top 40 list. Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Now in your top
It's
40
actually
list,
bigger, but the ones I like.
But is there anyone in there that you're currently not working with?
A lot, yes.
Because this is the problem. We create a top 40 list and we're treating them like we're in super relationship with them, but it's really
Right.
half of it's a prospecting list, right?
Right.
And the
Mhm.
communication patterns are different, like for those two different segments. So what I do is I break up my realtor partners into an A list, a B list, and a C list. Okay, A, B, C. All right. So the A list is what goes on to my top 40 realtor list. Okay. So by the way, the goal is to get, I'm going to give you all the definitions here, right? Is to get 40 A realtors on your top 40 agent list. Okay.
Okay,
I
so
only
this
have
list
8.
might not be 40 top 8.
I
It's probably
know. So
not.
I'm telling you, I have 8 of them, right? So I have 8 on my top 40, right? So those people though get a call, and I define an A realtor as someone who I close 4+, so 5 transactions or more with in the last 12 months.
Yeah, mine will
Okay.
probably be 8 agents as well.
So
Okay.
that's how I define the A agents. Now, those people you could call every week, you could call them every other day probably, right? Because you're in super great relationship with them, etc. So then we go to a B list, right? So I have an A list with about 8 people on it. 8 to 11 is what it averages. All right. B list is realtors that I have closed 1 to 4 transactions with in the last 12 months. Okay, that would be my B list. Now I have 77 people on that list.
Okay.
Okay, so I have a ton right on that list.
Yep, I have a lot. I'll have a big list for that too.
Yep. It's a great exercise, by the way.
Are you
for to
sure you're not in my market? I mean, I feel like our agents mirror each other.
I don't know. Where are you again?
I'm in Connecticut. I'm on the other side of the world from you.
Yeah, Connecticut's basically like Hippieville of the East Coast. Yeah, we're in the same
Northeast, yeah,
market.
we're like northeast. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Dark suburb.
So I don't know, but I think this goes for anyone, by the way, anywhere. Like you can use.
No,
these
that was
metrics.
that was actually my
Yeah.
point. Like, it doesn't matter the market because you're lit. It's very similar. Okay.
So then your C list, okay, is people that you want to work with, that either you've met with, they might have even referred you someone, right? But you haven't closed transaction with yet, or you haven't talked to them at all, and there you just want to prospect them, right? So how I communicate with these lists differently is A's get something every single week, no matter what. Call, text, email, basically, right? All 3. Right? B list, I break it up to every other week. Okay, so 1 week, 50% of the B list gets the call. And then the next week, the second 50% gets a call. C list, okay, same. Break it up every other week, 50-50. And then everyone receives an email video from me every 2 weeks. Okay, that are on those lists. Now that could be a TCA video email. That could be you talking about a product, could be anything, right? But I think that when we get bored of calling the same people all the time, it's because we don't recognize that our messaging is different for different people.
No,
right?
that's a great point.
And so what you have is a giant list, and you get done with a couple calls to the homies, and it was really easy. And then you try to call the non-homie with the same energy, and it's different. And you're like, are they sick of here? Yeah, they probably are. Right? So, and it's fine. Listen, I mess it up all the time too, right? So, but we want to make sure we're communicating a little bit differently to the different segments, and it doesn't have to be as frequent when you're not in, when they're a prospect.
Okay.
Right? Is that helpful?
That is very helpful. Thank you.
Cool. What about you, Pete Torres?
It's all about following up on from the prior week. A lot of the stuff, I feel like I got a lot of momentum. And so in the past, my mindset was, developing these relationships with these realtors one-on-one and connecting with them. And now I feel like I've planted so many seeds, like I got this huge harvest, and it's a matter of how do I maintain my schedule of dealing with all this new business that's coming through my pipeline. And so I'm changing my mindset to like, I still have to have my lead gen. I just still have to have my pipeline, but I also have my projects and my efficiency. Mm-hmm. So I have those categories in my head. And during this call, I mean, what Tammy was saying, I mean, it seemed like eerily like she's just ahead of me. in terms of like the home bot and all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, I was working on that. Wow, that's inspiring, what she's doing. So I feel like my challenge is like, I'm a like a one man, team. I do have some LP. I have an LP1 that supports me, but now I'm thinking about I got to expand my team just to manage all this business that's coming through my pipeline. So I realize I got to stick to my time management and just carve it out and have hard stops, and utilize my resources internally to offload some of the tasks that I used to do and push that onto other people, and just increase my efficiency and utilizing the video strategy of the one to many, and now and focus on that to get through this overflow of business that it can seem overwhelming at first, but I think if I just stay like prioritizing everything, that I can knock it out if I'm just methodical with it and just do it in pieces at a time throughout my day, rather than oh, I need this now, I just got to set their expectations and just say I'm devoting this time block to knock out all these things and adhere to that structure. So I think that's my challenge for this weekend and the rest of this month.
That was a very interesting narrative there. Like you basically are trying to convince yourself that everything's okay. All right.
Yeah.
And no, seriously, like, and we do that. Like I'm an external talker too. Like I talk things out, like out loud, even with clients. I go, hey, don't mind me. Like I'm just talking this out loud. Like I just do it, right? Like to figure things out. But the reason why I think you're struggling with figuring it out is that you're going really broad. You're going emotions. You're going broad. Like there wasn't too many things that were really specific in that narrative, right? It was like, I have a lot of stuff. I have momentum. I have projects, right? So it's really just breaking it down of like, what's the number one project that you want to implement that you haven't yet?
Right now it's the one TCA a day. I mean, the one to many. So I just lined that up with my realtor late last week. So now I'm just got to execute it. And then I have a second realtor that's actually, I want to
wait, hold on. See, you're going broad again. Let me bring you back to sniper Walt, long range shooter. Okay. Like focus is that you're starting to go already, right? You're like already thinking like, holy shit, I got, and then this, and then there's this, and then there's this. Like, don't think like that. Like, let's just focus on the one, right? So number one is that you should probably do a brain dump. It'll take you 5 minutes when you're not on the call, and just write down what are the stuff that I'm not doing that I want to do right now, and just write it all down. Take 1 minute, whatever you have at 1 minute is the important stuff, right? Then you just circle the one that you want to do first, right? And then you don't look at any other projects until you do that one. Like it's so simple if you oversimplify it, right? So if the one to many strategy is like what you want to do first, you don't look at any other projects or thought processes until that's done. Right now, for me, I'm a pressure person and everyone's different. So I hate something staying on the list and knowing I can't move to something else until I finish it. So I usually do it twice as fast, right? If it's a priority. So I would say just do that. Do a brain dump, pick one, execute it, move to the next one. Keep it super, super simple.
Okay. Thanks for the advice. Really appreciate it.
Cool. Anything else, Dave, Todd, D-Bird, Scott? You guys just let me talk the whole time.
You killed it, bro. I mean, I got a couple nuggets. I mean, we're gonna have to create some micro content around that. How you broke up the realtors and what you're calling. So stay tuned, guys. I'll have our marketing team create a little just that particular piece of content. But no, this whole program is everything I wanted. TCA Tuesday, that is becoming a term in the mortgage coach industry or in the mortgage coach community. Doing a TCA every day is getting closer to reality. We are committed, guys, for another 3 weeks to continue to do this. Hey, Scott, before we wrap it up, do you have any one-to-many, just quickly, any one-to-many strategies to recommend? And then Deborah, let's have you share the same, and then let's go into wrap-up mode.
Yeah, Walt, I mean, yeah, I think that's where the group's starting to move to the end, to where now it's one to many. What is a one to many? How to create a one to many? What do I get it out there for? And Walt, you just said yours already. Do you imagine how powerful that story is? to say, hey, here's a way to help you, when you told your TCA, you went from 3 5/8 to increase the cash to get the purchase closed. What a great story to tell. And then I don't have time to do it, but you would take that TCA, dump it in a presentation. Shoot, you have a lender launchpad account. Get Deborah to get a thumbnail going, put it on there and say, hey, here's a way if you're short cash to buy in today's market. Here's another way to help generate cash and go fishing with it. I mean, there's multiple. We'll get into another situation. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff we can get into.
Let's do, why don't you guys offline, you and Deborah, turn that into a one-to-many, working with Walt, because Walt's a client of yours, Deborah. And then everybody in the community, whether you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see a sample of what Walt talked about turned into a one-to-many strategy, and have that in the group by the end of the week.
Before I go, this is for Jeremy. I did solve a problem, and you were the problem. And the problem you had was I got an anxiety, like super cool, but I got an anxiety looking at that, right? So I created how to create a CMA in 112 seconds. But over the weekend, we coded the platform to where now we can duplicate the CMA report. Literally, it's a click of a button. So in the time it takes you to put a new PDF and a new title, we'll call it 15 seconds. So now you can create a CMA report in 15 seconds.
Sick. I love it. I need to do one.
I just have
Can we
to
make
watch
that your
that
challenge
again.
by next Tuesday?
No, I don't accept that challenge, but I appreciate it. I got the other project list going that I want to, though. It'll be on there at some point, but hey, thank you guys. You guys stay on as long as I have to bail. I have a 12
Jeremy,
o'clock.
appreciate you, brother. See you
Appreciate
later.
you guys.
We're not going to wrap it up quite yet, guys, but see you later, Jeremy. Deborah, anything you want to share or unpack from what you've heard today?
Just if anyone watched the interview that we did with Dave, I think it was last Friday with Denise and I, something that she hit hard was her Facebook groups. And she has 2 different groups, one for her clients and one for her agents. That is a great way to incorporate this strategy for one-to-many, that if you're not already doing or have created a Facebook group, then go to the Win by Noon page, because he created a post that walked you through the steps of how to create a Facebook group. I would just make the small disclaimer, learning from Tammy, make sure you include capturing phone numbers, email addresses whenever they sign up to be in the group. That way you have their contact info.
Once, if
that
you
was-
don't capture their emails and phone numbers, it's gone forever. All 147 people gone forever. So capture it. It's before you approve them in the group, you got to capture it.
Great suggestion. And by the way, guys, that call with you and Denise last week was pure gold. One of the best mortgage coach hours of the year. It's in the best of 2021 playlist. Check that out. And the part about Facebook groups was huge. And Deborah, why don't we maybe even kick off next Tuesday, just sharing like, hey, here's a one-to-many for your Facebook group. So Todd, we're a few minutes over, but any coaching thoughts or closing thoughts from you, Mr.
Dave,
Winter?
just one thing on that. Sorry, I will be at Todd Duncan on I won't be here next Tuesday.
Okay, no problem.
So the next
problem.
Tuesday.
All right, next one.
All right, I took 5 actionable takeaways that everyone needs to consider. Number 1 was, what's your 1-month follow-up plan, right? Jeremy calls everyone proactively every 2 days for the first week, and then he calls them once a week after that, because as he said, life happens, and he said, I get incrementally more higher conversion rate because I have a 1-month plan. And if you don't have a plan, then guess what? You're not going to convert higher. Number 2 is listen and impact. So my team has a listen and impact program. You heard Jeremy say it. I take the loan application. I make notes about the families, and my team, everyone on the team has a $75 budget. They can, if they hear of any of those things, marriage, wedding, baby, all that kind of stuff, they can just shoot something off as a gift, and they don't have to ask permission, and they can go higher. They just have to ask for permission. But think about gifting, and he just said kind of it guilts people into using me. And then I think you got to look at 2 sets of numbers, look at your conversion rates. Because again, Jeremy says 25% of my leads I close, and you should know your number. For my team, it's 29 right now. You got to look at your agents, ABC, your agents. You should know how many people you did close 5 or more transactions with, 1 or more transactions with, and then who you're going after. And you have to be really laser focused on that. I think that's why Jeremy's successful with it, because he knows who they are. And if you're not looking at the data, then you're not going to get there. And last but not least, I love the idea of a 1-minute brain dump. What are your most important things? And only focus on one thing. Don't focus on 1,000 things. Focus on the one until you get it done. Jeremy says it applies pressure to him to get that done. And your one thing maybe to actually do the numbers or do these things we just talked about here. But always gold here. So grateful for everyone for here, but especially for Tammy, Walt, and Pete for being here and giving time, out of your day. I think it's free coaching from Jeremy. So if I was producing, I'd be here every day as well. And in fact, I'd be knocking on the door, finding out how to get in here. If I was a producer doing 20, 30 million or more, wanting some sharpening from this crew every week.
So guys, this is the conclusion of number 6 of our group coaching session. We've had Jeremy for 5 of the 6. We'll see how many more we get him. But guys, there's some great coaches on this call. If you're watching this is a powerful hour in the mortgage coach community. And, thank you for everyone who showed up as a player and all the coaches who showed up. Appreciate you guys. This one is a wrap, and have a great day, everybody, and a great week.
All right, you guys rock. See you later.
Take care.